Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Psalm 83, we have Asaph speaking to God about the enemies of his people. And he wants God to deal very decisively with these enemies. And he uses very strong language to show that he wanted God to really bring down and humble these enemies of Israel. And it wasn't just that he wanted this to happen out of vengeance or because he just wanted to see the demise of his enemies. But at the end of the psalm, he shows why he wanted the Lord to deal so sharply and so harshly with his enemies. There he says, starting in verse 15, he says, "So pursue them with your tempest and terrify them with your storm. Fill their faces with dishonor, that they may seek your name, O Lord. Let them be ashamed and dismayed forever, and let them be humiliated and perish, that they may know that you alone, whose name is the Lord, are the most high over all the earth." And so the psalmist did want the Lord to deal with his enemies and to bring them down and to bring about their demise, but not just so that he could laugh at them or scorn them because they were brought down low, but so that they would do these various things. For one, so that they would be humbled, as we saw in verse 16, fill their faces with dishonor. And then we could also say from verse 17, let them be ashamed and dismayed forever. In other words, deal with them harshly so that they'll be humbled. These other nations that were the enemies of Israel were very prideful and boastful, and they boasted in their gods, and they thought that they could overtake Israel. But by the Lord dealing with them strongly, it would humble them and help them to recognize that they aren't as powerful as they thought they were, and that God is the one who is all powerful. But then also his desire was that they would seek the Lord through this experience. After saying, fill their faces with dishonor, he says, that they may seek your name, O Lord. So he wanted them to seek God, one, to be humbled and to do away with their pride, but then having had their pride dealt with, then to turn and seek the Lord. And then lastly, that they would know God. In verse 18, that they may know that you alone, whose name is the Lord, are the most high over all the earth, that they may know the majesty of God, the power of God, and the sovereignty of God. That they would know these various things about God. That they receive knowledge of who God is in relation to the nations and to power and authority in general. And so the psalmist, yes, he wanted the Lord to deal with the enemies and do so in a very clear way, but at the same time, he wanted some good things to come out of it. He wanted them to be humbled, he wanted them to seek the Lord, and he wanted them to know some things about the Lord. And this ought to be our desire too, that when people rise up against us, or people are mistreating us or slandering us, it ought to be that, yes, perhaps we would pray that the Lord would step into the situation and rescue us and deal with them. Even in Romans chapter 12, it says, leave vengeance to God. Let God deal with people who mistreat us. Vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. It quotes there. But our ultimate desire ought to be these various things, that they would be humbled in the situation and be humbled for the sake of having their hearts open to then seek the Lord, and then after that they would know the Lord and really come to know that it's God who is all powerful. It's God who is in control and not themselves. And this would be in line with what Jesus taught us. He says, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, for those who mistreat you. And these are some ways that we could pray for our enemies, and I think the psalmist helps us with that. So hopefully these are some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. And with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.